They laughed at Earth's barren moon until it opened fire. Commander Matthew Richardson raced through the corridors of Earth's orbital command center, his heart pounding. He burst into the top-secret briefing room where grim-faced leaders awaited. The Andorian Empire was winning this war, and humanity teetered on the brink. "Commander, you're here." "Good," Admiral Graves said. "Earth has one final trump card. Centuries ago, we began converting our moon into a weapon. Codename Prometheus, it's a cloaked battle station. Alien allies mocked our useless moon, never suspecting." On screen, the moon began to transform before Richardson's eyes. Armor plates shifted. Cannon barrels emerged. Thrusters ignited. "Prometheus is our last hope," Graves continued. "You'll command its first strike." Light years away, Emperor Kraxon lounged on his throne as the alliance crumbled. A robed advisor whispered warnings of an ancient prophecy. Kraxon laughed until klaxons blared. Earth's moon had vanished. An immense energy signature took its place. Kraxon watched in stunned disbelief as Prometheus decloaked and opened fire. The Andorian fleet burned. Earth's leaders broadcast a message across the galaxy. This station was their final gambit. Battered allies cheered as Kraxon's armada fled. Kraxon seethed. He had underestimated humanity's cunning. But the hooded advisor smiled, plans in motion. Prometheus was more than a mere weapon, and humanity's greatest challenge was yet to come. Commander Richardson's fingers flew across the control panel, his eyes locked on the holographic displays as Prometheus hummed to life around him. Lieutenant Commander Novak stood beside him, her brow furrowed in concentration as she monitored the battle station's intricate systems. "Reactors at full power," Novak reported, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "Weapons systems coming online." Richardson nodded, his eyes sharp. Earth's fate rested on their shoulders. As the final activation sequence neared completion, an alert flashed on Novak's screen. "Commander, I'm detecting an anomaly in the programming code," she said, her fingers dancing across the keyboard. "It appears to be an encrypted message, buried deep within the system." Richardson leaned in, his eyes scanning the lines of code. "Can you decrypt it?" Novak's fingers were already in motion. The message unfurled before them, a series of cryptic words and symbols. Richardson's heart raced as he read the ancient text. "In humanity's darkest hour, the final guardian shall awaken," he murmured, his voice tinged with awe. "Prometheus holds the key to unlocking the last resort." Novak looked up, her eyes wide. "What does it mean?" Richardson shook his head, his mind racing. "I don't know, but it's clear Prometheus is more than just a weapon. There are secrets here, even our leaders don't know about." In the heart of the Andorian Empire, Emperor Kraxon's rage filled the throne room. He turned to the Oracle, his voice a low growl. "You spoke of a prophecy, of an ancient race that once guarded the galaxy. Is this what they meant? Is Earth's moon one of these lost strongholds?" The Oracle nodded, her eyes glinting beneath her hood. "The legends are true, my Emperor. Prometheus is more than it seems. Earth has reactivated a power they do not fully comprehend." Kraxon's fist clenched, his eyes blazing. "Then we must strike now before they unlock its true potential. Summon the fleet. We will crush this threat before it grows any stronger." On Prometheus, Richardson and Novak worked frantically to decipher the hidden message. Clues led them deep into the battle station's core, to a chamber sealed by the highest security protocols. As they entered, a holographic figure flickered to life before them. The man's face was aged, his eyes haunted by knowledge. "I am Dr. Elias Carpenter," the hologram spoke, his voice echoing through the chamber. "If you are seeing this, then the galaxy faces a grave threat, one that Prometheus was built to confront." Richardson stepped forward, his heart pounding. "What threat? What is Prometheus's true purpose?" Carpenter's image flickered, his eyes locking with Richardson's. "Centuries ago, an ancient evil threatened to consume the universe. Prometheus was created not just as a weapon, but as a key to unlocking a power that could stop it. A power hidden somewhere out there, waiting to be found." Novak's console chimed, drawing their attention. Her face paled as she read the sensor data. Commander, long-range scans have detected a massive Andorian fleet massing at the edge of the solar system. They're preparing to attack. Richardson's eyes sharp, his mind racing with the implications of Carpenter's revelation. Prometheus held secrets that could change the course of the war, of the entire galaxy. But first, they had to survive the coming battle. He turned to Novak, his voice steady with determination. "Sound the alarm. Prepare all defenses. We'll show the Andorians what Prometheus can really do." As klaxons blared throughout the battle station, Richardson knew that this was just the beginning. The secrets of Prometheus, the ancient evil Carpenter spoke of, the hidden power waiting to be unlocked. All of it would have to wait. For now, Earth's last hope stood ready to face the Andorian onslaught. The moon, once mocked and underestimated, would now be the crucible in which the hope of the universe would be forged. The battle station's corridors echoed with the urgent footsteps of Commander Richardson and Lieutenant Commander Novak as they raced toward Prometheus's core. Alarms blared, signaling the approach of the Andorian fleet. "We need to unlock Prometheus's true potential," Richardson said, his voice tight with tension. "Whatever Dr. Carpenter was talking about, it's in here somewhere." They reached a massive, ornate door deep within the moon's interior. Novak's fingers flew across the control panel, bypassing layers of security protocols. With a hiss of hydraulics, the door slid open, revealing a cavernous chamber bathed in ethereal blue light. At its center floated a pulsing, crystalline object, the Celestial Codex. Richardson approached it cautiously, feeling the hum of ancient power. "It's beautiful," Novak breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. As Richardson reached out to touch the codex, the chamber filled with a holographic display. Stars and galaxies swirled around them, coalescing into a map of familiar and unknown systems. "Look," Richardson pointed, "those symbols, they match Prometheus. There are more of them out there." Novak's console chirped urgently. "Commander, the Andorians are launching their assault. Our shields are holding, but—" A violent tremor shook the station, cutting her off. Richardson steadied himself against a console. "They've brought something new," he muttered. "We're out of time. We need to integrate the codex now." Working feverishly, they connected the ancient artifact to Prometheus's systems. As they initiated the integration sequence, Richardson opened a comm channel to Earth. "Admiral Stark, this is Commander Richardson. We've discovered something of galactic importance. Prometheus is part of a network of battle stations built to fight an enemy called the Void Reapers. We're activating its full capabilities now." Admiral Elias Stark's gruff voice crackled through the speakers. "Understood, Commander. Hold the line. I'm mobilizing everything we've got." The station shuddered again as the Andorian energy cannon struck. Prometheus's shields flickered dangerously. "Brace for impact!" Richardson shouted. But as the cannon's energy washed over them, the Celestial Codex pulsed. Waves of iridescent energy rippled across Prometheus's surface, absorbing and redirecting the attack. The battle station hummed with newfound power. Richardson's hands danced across the controls, unleashing a barrage that tore through the Andorian fleet. On the main view screen, they watched Emperor Kraxon's flagship list to one side, venting atmosphere. "We've done it," Novak said, a hint of awe in her voice. "We've turned the tide." As the Andorian fleet scattered, a new figure materialized in the chamber. A lithe alien female with luminous skin stepped forward, lowering her hood. "I am Lyra," she said, her voice melodic yet tinged with urgency. "You've taken the first step, but our work is far from finished. The Void Reapers stir, and we must awaken the other Guardians." Richardson and Novak exchanged glances, the weight of this new revelation settling upon them. The battle for Earth was won, but a greater conflict loomed on the horizon. "Show us," Richardson said, turning back to the star map. "Where do we go next?" As Lyra began to explain, the Celestial Codex pulsed once more, its light washing over them. Prometheus, Earth's improbable savior, now stood as humanity's gateway to a vast and ancient legacy, one that would shape the fate of the entire galaxy. Commander Richardson's fingers danced across Prometheus's control panel, plotting a course to the coordinates Lyra had provided. The battle station hummed with newfound power, its systems fully integrated with the Celestial Codex. "All systems ready for jump," Lieutenant Commander Novak reported, her voice steady despite the weight of their mission. Richardson nodded, his eyes fixed on the swirling star map before him. "Engage jump drive." Space warped around them as Prometheus leapt into the unknown. The familiar constellations of Earth's night sky gave way to alien stars and swirling nebulae. As they emerged from the jump, a wave of static washed over their communications array. "Multiple contacts," Novak called out, her fingers flying across her console. "Unidentified vessels on an intercept course." Richardson's eyes sharp. "Marauders. Looks like word of Prometheus has spread faster than we anticipated. Shields up, weapons hot." The alien ships swarmed around them, energy weapons flaring to life. Prometheus shuddered under the assault, but its newly awakened defenses held firm. Richardson's hands moved with practiced precision, unleashing a barrage that scattered their attackers. As the last Marauder ship retreated, Lyra stepped forward, her luminous skin casting an otherworldly glow. "We near our destination. The first Guardian sleeps within that nebula." Before them stretched a vast cloud of swirling gases, shot through with veins of crackling energy. Richardson guided Prometheus into the maelstrom, sensors straining to penetrate the cosmic haze. "There!" Novak exclaimed, pointing to a flickering readout. "I'm detecting a massive structure." As they drew closer, the nebula parted to reveal a colossal construct. Its architecture was both familiar and alien, echoing Prometheus's design, yet twisted into forms that defied human understanding. "The Codex is responding," Lyra said, her eyes fixed on the pulsing artifact. "We can use it to reactivate the station's core systems." Richardson nodded, guiding Prometheus alongside its slumbering sister. As they initiated the awakening sequence, the Guardian station stirred. Vast sections of its hull shifted and realigned, shedding centuries of accumulated stellar debris. But their triumph was short-lived. Alarms blared across Prometheus's command center as the Guardian's readings spiked erratically. "Something's wrong," Novak said, her voice tight with tension. "I'm detecting multiple biosignatures throughout the station. They're swarming." Richardson's blood ran cold as the first visuals came through. Writhing masses of chitinous bodies poured from the Guardian's access points, their razor-sharp claws leaving deep gouges in the ancient hull. "Xenobrutes," Lyra whispered, her normally melodic voice tinged with fear. "Savage creatures, perfectly adapted to survive in this toxic environment. They've claimed the Guardian as their nest." As the Xenobrutes turned their attention to Prometheus, Richardson knew they faced a desperate fight. He opened a channel to the entire crew. "All hands, battle stations. Prepare for boarding action. We didn't come this far to lose our prize now." The air filled with the sound of running feet and charging weapons as Prometheus's crew mobilized. Richardson turned to Novak, his eyes steely with persistence. "Keep working on bringing the Guardian online. Lyra and I will lead the defense teams. We need to clear those Xenobrutes before they overrun both stations." As Richardson donned his combat gear, a priority transmission cut through the chaos. Admiral Stark's holographic form materialized, his face grave. "Richardson, the Andorians have launched a major offensive. They've allied with the Killeran Hive, and our forces are taking heavy losses. We need Prometheus back here now." Richardson's mind raced, torn between his duty to Earth and the crucial mission before him. He looked from Stark's urgent face to the swarming Xenobrutes, then to Lyra's pleading eyes. "Understood, Admiral," he said at last. "We'll wrap this up and return as quickly as possible. Prometheus out." As the transmission cut off, Richardson turned to his crew. The weight of two worlds rested on their shoulders. With a nod to Novak and Lyra, he raised his weapon and strode toward the airlock. "Let's make this quick," he said, his voice carrying over the sound of charging energy weapons. "We've got a war to win." The airlock hissed open, and Richardson led the charge into the nightmare-infested corridors of the awakening Guardian station. The Xenobrute horde surged forward, their chitinous bodies gleaming in the harsh light of Prometheus's flood lamps. Richardson's pulse rifle spat superheated plasma, carving through the alien swarm. Beside him, Lyra's ethereal form shimmered as she unleashed bursts of energy that sent xenobrutes flying. "We're running out of time," Novak's voice crackled through the comm. "Guardian systems are destabilizing. We need to complete the integration now." Richardson gritted his teeth, firing another burst into the seething mass of claws and carapaces. "Fall back to the airlock. We're pulling out." As the defense team retreated, Prometheus's weapons blazed to life, bombarding the infested sections of the Guardian station. Richardson watched the destruction through the view screen, his eyebrows furrowed. "Plot a course back to Earth," he ordered, turning to Novak. "We need to regroup and strategize." The journey home was tense, filled with urgent communications and frantic preparations. As they neared Earth's orbit, the true scale of the Andorian offensive became clear. The planet's defense grid flickered under the assault of Killeran ships, their biomechanical forms swarming like locusts. Admiral Stark's hologram materialized on the bridge, his face haggard. "Richardson, thank God you're back. We're barely holding the line. What's the status of the Guardian station?" Richardson shook his head. "Compromised, sir. We couldn't complete the activation." Stark's expression hardened. "Then we have no choice. We need to find another Guardian, fast. The Codex is our only hope." As if on cue, the Celestial Codex pulsed, projecting a star map across Prometheus's bridge. A single point flared brightly, coordinates scrolling beneath it. "The Delcari Nebula," Lyra said, her eyes wide. "Another Guardian sleeps there." Richardson studied the map, his mind racing. "Admiral, request permission to pursue this lead. If we can activate another Guardian, we might turn the tide of this war." Stark nodded grimly. "Granted, but hurry, Richardson. We won't last long against Craxon's alliance without reinforcements." As Prometheus prepared to jump, Richardson felt the weight of two worlds on his shoulders. The battle for Earth raged behind them, while ahead lay an uncertain journey into the heart of the Delcari Nebula. "All systems ready," Novak reported, her fingers dancing across the controls. Richardson took a deep breath, steeling himself for what lay ahead. "Engage jump drive." Space warped around them as Prometheus leapt into the void, leaving Earth's desperate struggle behind. The familiar stars of home gave way to the swirling, iridescent gases of the Delcari Nebula. As they emerged from the jump, sensors immediately picked up the massive form of the second Guardian station. Unlike its infested counterpart, this one hung silent and dark against the backdrop of the nebula. "I'm detecting a populated world nearby," Novak said, frowning at her readouts. "Delcar Prime. Looks like we might have some local complications." Before Richardson could respond, a priority transmission cut through their communications. The holographic form of an elderly woman materialized on the bridge, her eyes sharp and knowing. "I am Lady Arjala, eldest matriarch of the House of Kadron," she announced, her voice carrying an air of authority. "We have foreseen your arrival, Commander Richardson. The fate of our worlds hangs in the balance." Richardson stepped forward, hope kindling in his chest. "Lady Arjala, we come seeking aid. The Guardian station in your system could be key to—" A violent explosion rocked the matriarch's chambers, cutting off her transmission. Alarms blared across Prometheus's bridge as new contacts appeared on their sensors. "Multiple hostiles incoming," Novak shouted. "They're targeting the matriarch's location." Richardson's mind raced, assessing their options. They needed Lady Arjala's support to access the Guardian, but Prometheus couldn't risk a direct confrontation with unknown forces in orbit. "Prepare a stealth shuttle," he ordered, grabbing his combat gear. "Lyra, you're with me. Novak, you have the con. Keep Prometheus at a safe distance and monitor the situation." As Richardson and Lyra boarded the shuttle, the commander knew they were diving headfirst into a powder keg. The fate of Earth, the Delcari, and perhaps the entire galaxy now hinged on their ability to navigate the treacherous waters of alien politics and extract a VIP under fire. The shuttle's engines flared to life, carrying them toward the glittering surface of Delcar Prime. Behind them, Prometheus hung in orbit, a silent sentinel guarding humanity's last desperate hope. The shuttle touched down on Delcar Prime amidst chaos and destruction. Richardson and Lyra sprinted through debris-strewn streets, plasma bolts sizzling past their heads. They found Lady Argela's compound in ruins, smoke billowing from shattered windows. There! Lyra pointed to a group of figures emerging from the wreckage. Lady Argela stumbled forward, supported by 2 guards. Her regal composure remained intact despite a nasty gash on her forehead. "Commander," she wheezed, "your arrival is most fortuitous. The Craxan loyalists seek to silence us before we can aid you." A deafening explosion rocked the ground. Richardson's comm crackled to life with Novak's urgent voice. "Sir, multiple hostile ships entering orbit. We can't hold them off and maintain our position." Richardson made a split-second decision. "Lady Argela, we need to evacuate you immediately. Can you grant us access to the Guardian Station from Prometheus?" The matriarch nodded weakly. "The activation codes are encoded in my neural implant. Get me to your ship and I will assist you." As they raced back to the shuttle, Richardson's mind whirled with the implications. They had a chance to awaken the Guardian, but at what cost to Delcar Prime? The return journey to Prometheus was a gauntlet of enemy fire. Richardson's piloting skills were pushed to the limit as he wove through the debris of shattered satellites and defense platforms. As they docked, Novak's voice came through, tight with tension. "Commander, we've got multiple incoming Craxan battlecruisers. Whatever you're planning, we need to do it fast." On the bridge, Lady Argela interfaced with Prometheus's systems. The Celestial Codex pulsed in response, projecting a ghostly image of the dormant Guardian Station. "Initiating awakening sequence," the matriarch intoned. The massive structure in orbit around Delcar Prime stirred to life. Its hull shimmered with ancient energies, unfurling like a cosmic flower. The Craxan fleet, caught off guard by the sudden activation, scattered in disarray. "It's working," Novak exclaimed. "The Guardian's defenses are coming online. They're targeting the Craxan ships." Richardson watched in awe as beams of pure energy lanced out from the Guardian, slicing through enemy vessels like paper. In minutes, the threat to Delcar Prime had been neutralized. Lady Argela sagged in relief. "You have saved my world, Commander. The Delcari owe you a great debt." As the adrenaline of battle faded, Richardson felt the weight of their next steps settle upon him. They had awakened the Guardian, but Earth still hung in the balance. He turned to Novak. "Plot a course back to Alliance space. It's time we turn the tide of this war." The journey back was tense, filled with urgent communications and hasty plans. As they approached Earth, the full scale of the conflict became clear. The planet's defense grid flickered under relentless assault, while Allied ships struggled to hold the line. Admiral Stark's hologram materialized on the bridge, his face a mask of relentless drive. "Richardson, thank God you're back. What's the status of the Guardian?" "Activated and secured, sir. The Delcari are with us now." Stark nodded, then gestured to a figure beside him, a towering reptilian being with iridescent scales. "Commander, meet King Torbaz of the Malvians. He has a proposition for us." The alien monarch stepped forward, his voice a low rumble. "Your Prometheus has proven its worth, human. I offer you a permanent alliance and safe harbor for your ship at our fortified capital." Richardson glanced at Stark, who gave a slight nod. "We're grateful for your offer, Your Majesty. Prometheus stands ready to aid our allies." As they entered orbit around Earth, Richardson could see the strategic value of Torbaz's proposal. Prometheus was a prime target, and the Malvian defenses would provide much-needed protection. Still, something about the alien king's eagerness set him on edge. The docking procedure at Malvec Prime was a spectacle of light and sound. Prometheus settled into its berth amidst cheering crowds and ceremonial fanfare. As Richardson led his crew down the gangway, he spotted a striking figure waiting to greet them, a female Malvian with vibrant plumage and piercing eyes. "Welcome to Malvec Prime," she said, her voice carrying a hint of challenge. "I am Aravia, daughter of King Torbaz. Your arrival has caused quite a stir among my people." Richardson nodded respectfully. "We're honored by your hospitality, Princess Aravia." As they were led through the sprawling Malvian capital, Richardson couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. He caught Lieutenant Novak's eye, seeing his own unease mirrored in her expression. Their fears proved prescient. That night, as Richardson pored over intelligence reports in his quarters, A thunderous explosion rocked the ship. Alarms blared as smoke filled the corridors. Multiple detonations in the docking bays. Novak's voice crackled over the comm. We're under attack. Richardson raced to the bridge, his mind racing. They had walked into a trap, but who was behind it? As he barked orders to his crew, coordinating their defense and evacuation efforts, he knew one thing for certain. Their alliance with the Malvians had just become far more complicated than anyone had anticipated. Richardson's instincts screamed danger as he raced through Prometheus corridors, the acrid smell of smoke filling his lungs. He burst onto the bridge, finding Novak already at her station, fingers flying over the controls. "Status report," he barked, strapping himself into the command chair. Novak's voice was taut with tension. "Multiple explosions in the docking bays, sir. We're cut off from the Malvian capital. Sensors show incoming hostile ships. Killeran signatures." Richardson's mind raced. They'd walked into a trap, but there was no time for recriminations. "Battle stations, disengage all moorings and get us clear of the docking ring." The ship shuddered as Prometheus tore free of its berth, debris raining against the hull. As they emerged into open space, Richardson saw the extent of their predicament. A swarm of Killeran vessels bore down on them, weapons blazing. "Evasive maneuvers," Richardson ordered. "What's the status of our temporal drive?" Lyra's ethereal form materialized beside him. "The drive is operational, but untested. Using it could be extremely dangerous." A violent impact rocked the ship. "Hull breach on deck 3, Novak shouted. Richardson gritted his teeth. "We're out of options. Lyra, input the coordinates for that chrono signature you detected. Novak, prepare for temporal jump on my mark." The bridge crew worked feverishly, their faces bathed in the red glow of emergency lighting. Richardson watched the tactical display as enemy ships closed in, their weapons carving through Prometheus's shields. "Temporal drive spooling up," Lyra reported. 30 seconds to jump capability." Richardson's hands tightened on the armrests of his chair. "Reroute all available power to shields. We just need to hold on a little longer." The ship groaned under the assault, systems failing across the board. Just as Richardson thought they couldn't take another hit, Lyra's voice rang out. "Temporal drive ready." "Jump now," Richardson commanded. Reality twisted around them, the familiar starfield replaced by a kaleidoscope of impossible colors. For a moment that stretched into eternity, Prometheus hung suspended between moments of time. Then, with a lurch that made Richardson's stomach heave, they burst back into normal space. The scene that greeted them was one of utter devastation. The remains of shattered planets drifted through the void, while in the distance, vast structures of impossible geometry loomed. Dark shapes moved among the cosmic wreckage, radiating an otherworldly malevolence. "Where are we?" Novak whispered, her face pale. Before Richardson could respond, a new contact appeared on their sensors, a small ship darting between the debris fields with uncanny precision. As it approached, a familiar voice crackled over their comm system. "Prometheus, this is Lyra. Don't shoot, I'm coming aboard." Minutes later, Richardson stood face to face with a version of Lyra he barely recognized. Her ethereal glow was dimmed, her eyes haunted by horrors he could only imagine. "Welcome to what's left of our universe," she said grimly. "The Void Reapers have consumed almost everything. You're looking at the last remnants of galactic civilization." Richardson struggled to process the magnitude of what he was seeing. How did this happen, and how do we stop it? Lyra's expression hardened. "The Reapers are drawn to disturbances in space-time. Misuse of rift technology created breaches they exploited. But your ship, your temporal drive, it might be our last hope." A bone-chilling screech echoed through the ship, causing everyone to flinch. Through the view screen, Richardson saw a massive, writhing form emerge from behind a shattered moon. Tendrils of pure darkness extended from its core, reaching hungrily toward Prometheus. "Void Reaper Vanguard," Lyra hissed. "We need to move. Now." As Prometheus once again leapt into the unknown, Richardson knew their real battle was just beginning. With the fate of all timelines hanging in the balance, they would need every ounce of skill, courage, and ingenuity to prevail against the cosmic horrors that awaited them. The eerie calm following their temporal jump shattered as alarms blared throughout Prometheus. Richardson's relief at escaping the Void Reapers evaporated instantly. "Multiple hull breaches!" Novak shouted, her fingers flying over the tactical display. "We've got intruders!" Before Richardson could respond, the bridge doors exploded inward. Through the smoke strode a familiar figure. Princess Aravia, her once regal form now twisted into something monstrous. Iridescent scales gave way to writhing tentacles, her eyes glowing with otherworldly malice. "You should have accepted my father's hospitality," Aravia hissed, her voice a distorted growl. "Now you'll witness the true might of the Xenobrutes." Richardson dove for cover as Aravia lashed out, her elongated limbs smashing control consoles. "Novak, engineering! Lock down the core!" Novak nodded grimly, drawing her sidearm as she sprinted for the emergency access shaft. Richardson watched her go, then turned his attention to rallying the crew. "All hands, repel boarders. This is not a drill." Throughout Prometheus's corridors, chaos reigned. Killoran mercenaries poured through breached airlocks, their plasma rifles carving swaths of destruction. Security teams fought back desperately, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. In engineering, Novak arrived to find carnage. Bodies of her crewmates lay strewn about, systems sparked and sputtered. She caught movement in her peripheral vision and spun, barely deflecting a blow from Aravia's grotesque form. "I expected more from you, Lieutenant," Aravia sneered, circling her prey. "You humans are so fragile." Novak's eyes narrowed as she studied her opponent. There was something familiar in the Xenobrute's mutated DNA, a chilling echo of the horrors they'd glimpsed in the alternate timeline. "What are you?" she breathed. Their battle raged across engineering, a deadly dance amidst critical systems. Novak fought with every ounce of skill and willpower, but Aravia's inhuman strength was overwhelming. Just as hope seemed lost, a blinding flash of light erupted between them. Lyra materialized, her ethereal form crackling with temporal energy. Behind her, battle-hardened warriors from the alternate timeline poured through the rift. "Sorry we're late," Lyra quipped, unleashing a burst of energy that sent Aravia reeling. Aboard the Malvian flagship, Admiral Stark and King Torbaz watched in horror as Andorian warships emerged from hyperspace, their weapon batteries already unleashing hellish barrages. "Your Majesty," Stark growled, "I hope your defenses are as formidable as you claimed." Torbaz's reptilian features twisted in a grimace. "They will hold, Admiral. They must." The space around Malvec Prime erupted into a furious light show as Alliance and Andorian forces clashed. Stark barked orders, coordinating their defense, but the sheer firepower of Kraxon's assault was staggering. Back on Prometheus, Richardson fought his way to engineering, linking up with Lyra's reinforcements. They arrived to find Novak and the alternate timeline warriors driving Aravia back. The Xenobrute princess snarled in frustration, then slammed her fist into a nearby console. Alarms blared as critical systems began to fail. "The warp drive's been sabotaged," Lyra called out, her hands dancing over holographic interfaces. "We're stranded here." Richardson's mind raced. They needed a miracle, and fast. "The Codex," he muttered. Then louder, "Lyra, the Celestial Codex. Can we use it to power an alternative drive?" Lyra's eyes widened in understanding. "It's risky, but yes, I think we can." As Alliance ships burned in Malvec skies and Killoran borders pressed their advantage, Richardson made his choice. Do it. Lyra interfaced with the ancient artifact, channeling its power into Prometheus's experimental systems. Reality itself seemed to warp around them as the ship phased out of normal space-time. When they rematerialized, the scene had changed dramatically. Two dying suns cast an eerie glow over a shattered world, the Killoran homeworld, devastated by Kraxon's betrayal. "By the void," Novak whispered, taking in the destruction. Richardson wasted no time. "Weapons free! Target Killoran defensive platforms!" Prometheus unleashed its full arsenal, catching the depleted Killoran fleets completely off guard. As their forces crumbled, Richardson turned to find Aravia approaching, her Xenobrute form receding. "Commander," she said, her voice heavy with realization. I was wrong. What I've seen, what I now understand about our true nature. She met his gaze, tenacity burning in her eyes. Let me help you end this madness. Richardson studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Welcome aboard, Princess. Now, let's finish this fight. The chaos of battle faded as Prometheus unleashed its devastating assault on the Kaloran defensive platforms. Richardson watched the tactical display, a grim satisfaction settling over him as enemy ships scattered before their onslaught. Sir, Novak called out, her voice tight with urgency. We're detecting multiple rift signatures near the system's edge. It looks like Kraxen's forces are regrouping. Richardson nodded, his mind already racing through potential strategies. We need to press our advantage. Lyra, can you pinpoint the locations of the remaining Guardian stations? The AI's holographic form shimmered into view. I've isolated several potential coordinates, Commander, but we'll need to move quickly. Understood. Novak, I want you to take a team and investigate the rift signatures near that black hole. Something about those energy patterns doesn't sit right with me. As Novak departed, Richardson turned to Aravia. The former Xenobrute princess stood at attention, her eyes burning with commitment. Princess, I need you to coordinate with our new Kaloran allies. Your insight into their tactics could prove invaluable. Aravia nodded sharply. Consider it done, Commander. Hours later, Richardson found himself poring over mission reports as Prometheus led a multi-pronged offensive across the sector. Lyra's guerrilla allies had made significant progress, liberating subjugated Kaloran worlds, bolstering their ranks with each victory. A priority communication from Novak's team crackled through the bridge speakers. Commander, we've found something. The outpost here, it's overrun, but not by Kraxon's forces. Richardson leaned forward, tension coiling in his gut. Explain, Lieutenant. It's the Void Reapers, sir. Somehow they've been displaced through time. We're engaging now, but... Her transmission cut off in a burst of static. Before Richardson could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. Intruder alert, Lyra's voice rang out. Security breach detected in the Nader dock. Richardson sprinted towards the compromised section, weapon drawn. As he rounded a corner, he came face to face with Kraxen himself, the Kaloran leader's features twisted in a snarl of desperation. It's over, Kraxen, Richardson growled, leveling his weapon. But before either could act, a blinding light erupted between them. The Oracle materialized, her form pulsing with raw power. Enough, she commanded, her voice reverberating through the corridor. Richardson watched in stunned silence as the Oracle's true identity was revealed. The last Prime Xenobrute, driven into hiding eons ago. Her mental assault overwhelmed Kraxen, driving him to his knees. In the distance, the familiar rumble of Admiral Stark's armada signaled their arrival to secure the Nader. Kraxen, his plans in tatters, made a desperate lunge for a nearby rift generator. Richardson fired, but too late. The Kaloran leader vanished in a flash of temporal energy. Lyra's voice cut through the chaos. Commander, I've decrypted a crucial section of the Celestial Codex. Kraxen's heading into the past, likely to alter the timeline itself. Richardson's mind raced. They had no choice but to pursue, even as reports flooded in of Novak's team still battling Void Reapers near the black hole. He opened a ship-wide channel. All hands, prepare for temporal incursion. We're going after Kraxen. As Prometheus surged towards the rift, Richardson caught sight of Aravia coordinating with the liberated Kaloran forces. Their eyes met briefly, a silent understanding passing between them. Whatever lay on the other side of that rift, they would face it together. The ship shuddered as it plunged into the swirling vortex of time and space. Richardson gripped his command chair, steeling himself for the challenges that lay ahead. Somewhere in the tangled web of past and future, Kraxen waited, and the fate of entire realities hung in the balance. The temporal vortex collapsed behind Prometheus as it emerged into a reality twisted beyond recognition. Richardson's eyes widened at the sight before him, a sea of writhing darkness punctuated by the husks of dead worlds. By the void, Aravia whispered, her face ashen. What has Kraxen done? Lyra's hologram flickered to life, her expression grim. He's succeeded in altering the timeline. Humanity never developed Prometheus or the other Guardians. The Void Reapers. A bone-chilling shriek cut through the air as massive, tentacled forms emerged from the shadows of shattered planets. Dreadnoughts of impossible scale, their very presence warping the fabric of space-time. "Battle stations!" Richardson barked, his mind racing. "Novak, status report on—" He faltered, the weight of his decision crashing down upon him. Novak wasn't here. She was still fighting Reapers near that black hole, in a timeline that no longer existed. No time for regrets. The ship rocked violently as Reaper energy beams lanced across their bow. "Shields at 60%, an ensign called out. "We can't take much more of this." Richardson gritted his teeth. "Evasive maneuvers. Lyra, options?" The AI's form pulsed with urgency. "Commander, I'm detecting a surge of temporal energy. It's the insurgents. They're engaging the Reaper fleet." Through the view screen, Richardson watched as battered ships of unfamiliar design swarmed the colossal dreadnoughts. A holocom crackled to life, revealing the face of a scarred warrior. "This is all we can do," the rebel leader growled. "Make it count." As the insurgents' ships detonated in brilliant flashes of light, Carpenter's matrix hummed to life. The scientist's wizened face materialized on the main display. "There's only one way to fix this," Carpenter's avatar stated, his voice heavy with finality. "We need to overload the quantum core, generate an inverse reality pulse. It might restore the original timeline." Alarms blared throughout the ship as Reaper swarms breached the hull. The crew's screams turned to guttural howls as writhing tendrils of void energy infected them, twisting flesh and metal into nightmarish abominations. Richardson unholstered his weapon. "I'll get to the core. Aravia, Lyra, hold them off as long as you can." He fought his way through corridors that pulsed with alien growths, each corner revealing fresh horrors. Former crewmates, now puppets of the void, lurched at him with distorted limbs and glowing eyes. Finally reaching the core chamber, Richardson found Carpenter's hologram waiting. The scientist's eyes held a mix of sorrow and commitment. "I encoded a partial consciousness backup," Carpenter explained, his form flickering, "to witness humanity's achievements firsthand. Richardson, I'm proud. What we've built here, it gives us a chance." The ship groaned, systems failing around them. Richardson's hands flew across the console, rerouting power. Carpenter's matrix integrated with the core, stabilizing the building overload. "It's time," Carpenter said softly. "Good luck, Commander." Reality itself seemed to fracture as the pulse fired. In that infinite moment between heartbeats, Richardson caught a glimpse. Novak, battered but alive, emerging from the singularity. Hope flared in his chest as time unraveled. A blinding flash, then darkness. Richardson's eyes snapped open. He found himself on Prometheus's bridge, disoriented and gasping. Lyra materialized beside him, her expression a mix of relief and concern. "We did it," she said quietly. "The timeline is restored, but—" She hesitated. "Commander, the barriers between realities have been shattered. The Void Reapers are coming. All of them." As if on cue, long-range sensors lit up with approaching signals. Richardson straightened, his persistence hardening. "Sound General Quarters," he ordered, "and get me a secure channel to Earth. It's time to wake the Guardians." Down the corridor, he caught sight of a familiar figure. Novak, looking worse for wear but unmistakably alive, hurried toward the bridge. Their eyes met, a silent understanding passing between them. The real war was about to begin.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.